Okay, Mr. Heng, you may start.
Okay, thank you, Chintong. Good afternoon, everyone. We see again. This is, I think, first time I see you all in the new year, right? Yeah,
Yes.
Happy New Year. Belated New Year. Is Lingzhi can promote metabolism and reduces the risk of obesity and the complication from a high-fat diet. Risk of obesity complication in high-fat diet. Okay, let's look at next one, introduction. Okay, as you know that obesity is a metabolic disease associated with excess fat deposit in the adipose tissue, under the skin, in the muscle, in the liver, that as a result enlarge these fat cells and increase the number of fat cells. I mean, if you all have followed this series, maybe if you remember 2 or 3 research, a few months ago, I presented also something about obesity. We say that if you, when you have a high-fat diet, our fat cells will at first enlarge, and it enlarge to a certain point, it will then expand. It will then divide, so-called divide. Divide, 1 become 2, 2 become 4, you know, to accommodate more fats, right? That's why they say down here, the adipose tissue will increase the number and enlarge the fat cells, all right? As you know, enlargement of fat cells will cause a dysregulation in the hormone signaling. Fat cell, adipose tissue, adipocyte, actually also gives signal, right? So this regulation in the fat cells cause the signaling problem, and it leads to an increase in the secretion of inflammatory cytokines that cause low-grade inflammation. And at the same time, this cytokine that is being secreted by the excess fat cells causes insulin resistance, right? The insulin become not sensitive, or the fat cell become not sensitive to the insulin. So since obesity disrupts metabolism, it is considered a major risk for multiple metabolic disorders, such as type 2 diabetes, heart problem, atherosclerosis, liver steatosis, that's fatty liver. Fatty liver, of course, in the early stages, it's not much of a problem, but later on, it becomes a problem and may lead to cancer and also cancer. All right, there have been many therapeutic methods being developed to inhibit obesity, right? And some researchers are now starting to target this AMP signaling pathway to try to inhibit obesity. Okay, next slide. Right. Lingzhi, as you know, has been in use for centuries to improve health and longevity. In the old days, they don't know what is the biological content. They just know that this one can improve your health and can improve your longevity, and also were used to treat diseases like hypertension, diabetes, and cancer, right? Researchers from Korea's Chumbuk National University and their National Institute of Horticultural and Herbal Studies wanted to verify those recent researches on Lingzhi's anti-obesity effect. Remember, like just now in the introduction, I said 3 months ago, where I talked about obesity, Lingzhi against obesity, the anti-obesity effect, and the prevention of metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes via this AMPK pathway. All right, those who want to read more about the research, you can go on to read in this issue. You just type in this Ganoderma lucidum extract reduces insulin resistance by enhancing AMPK activation in high-fat diet induced obese mind. You will get it, right? It will show a full report. This one is a free access. You can read more of it if you want to. Oh, all right, next one. Okay, before we continue to talk a little bit about our research, we know a little bit of the AMPK. I mean, we are not here to talk about biochemistry. So when you talk about biochemistry, I'm also lost, right? AMPK, as it is, the long name is AMPK activated protein kinase, right? It is an enzyme that plays a role in regulating energy metabolism. All right. So when AMPK is activated, all right, it will set off a downstream enzyme, right, that increase glucose intake. This called uptake. They call in biological term, they call glucose uptake. Then it will take in more glucose and utilization and use it. And then you will have to oxidize fatty acid. As a result, will reduce cholesterol, that kind of thing. Autophagy, this is one area that is not a separate area. Autophagy is help to clear out some of the old cells, this and that. In actual fact, this is one of the pathway that helps in aging, anti-aging. Okay, right. AMPK activation at the same time also help to reduce glycogen synthesis, trying to form fat formation, fatty acid synthesis, trying to form into triglyceride, the food that we eat, the excess glucose that we eat, form into like fats, all that kind of thing. Protein synthesis, cholesterol synthesis. All right. So in general, it helps to metabolize our lipid. All right. So AMPK pathway is a very effective way to help us to cut down obesity. So AMPK is activated through exercise, movement, muscle movement, right? That's why people with diabetes, obesity, you go to the doctor, they always tell you do more exercise, do more exercise. That is one of the reasons. Then AMPK also can be activated in the liver by an enzyme called liver kinase B1, and also in the adipose tissue. Okay, there are many enzymes that follow activated by AMPK. I did not go into it because after all, it will be too much for us to understand. Okay, let's now go into the study. All right. Okay, the study, they use Lingzhi extract that contain 53% triterpenoid and 27% polysaccharides. All right. I think such a high triterpenoid content probably can be considered equivalent to our G2. Am I right, Mr. Long? Say that? Okay. So they use the mice, normal healthy mice, and divide them into 5 groups and feed them at libitum. At libitum, that means the food is left there and let them eat. So as much as they want. Let them suka, yes. as and when they want, not force feeding. So first group is the normal diet. So they will eat a normal diet. The normal diet has 10% fat content in it. That's I mean, you cannot completely avoid fat. You cooking, you also put some oil. You eat some lean meat, you also have some fat. Right? You have some 10%. Then they have a high fat diet, where the food that they feed to the mice contain 45% fat. All right, then group 3, group 4, group 5, they have the same high fat diet like 2, but they substitute part of the food with 1%, 3%, 5% of Lingzhi. So if the food is, let's say, 1 kilo, 1,000 grams, so they will substitute with 10% Lingzhi, 10 grams, 30 grams, 50 grams. Okay, if it's 1,000 grams, because it's 1%, 3%, 5%. That percentage is percentage of the food. Okay, right? The study is for 12 weeks, and they measure the food intake every other day and weigh the mice once a week. Right? Let's go into the result. We go straight into the result. Okay, first, naturally, it's expected high-fat diet cause increase in size and weight. Right? That is the final. The final, that means at the end of 12 weeks. So as you can see from the picture below, on the top one, you see the normal diet is slim. The high-fat diet is fat. Okay, it's fat. So that's why how they become fat, because there are more adipose tissue. The adipose tissue expand and divide and increase in number. So that's why they become fat. Right? Right. So, but as you can see, the final increase in weight of those 3 groups that were fat, where their diet includes Lingzhi, they were much lower, right? This goes to show that probably Lingzhi might play a role in suppressing the weight increase. Okay, the chart show you, see, the higher the dosage, the lower the weight increases. Of course, I mean, if you keep on eating fat diet, even with Lingzhi, you will still gain weight, correct or not? Naturally, I mean, this one is needless to say lah. I mean, when you are obese, it's all about food intake. If you eat more than what it is, you will gain weight, but maybe the weight gain will be much lesser if you eat with Lingzhi. Okay, next one, the result. Of course, they next analyze the data and see what is the problem. Why is it that the weight increase is not so much for the Lingzhi group as compared to the without Lingzhi group, right? So they look at the increase in weight over the time, right? Over the 12 weeks, the increase. Just now the slides are showing the final weight. This one, if you look at the one on the left, you see the increase in weight, right? Normal diet, the weight was something like around 5 grams, right? But the high-fat diet, it go to 30 grams, right? So when you increase the dosage of Lingzhi in it, the increase in weight was lower. So at 5%, imagine the increase in weight was only to slightly over 10, right? But of course, they may say that, yeah, maybe Lingzhi is bitter, so the mice might not want to eat much. So as a result, not eating. So of course, not eating naturally lose weight. But if you look at the middle chart, the amount of food that they consume is constant. equal, right? So then, of course, the conclusion is that probably given the same food intake, the weight gain of the high-fat diet group could be due to other reasons. All right. Then the chart on the right show you the feeding efficiency ratio. Feeding efficiency ratio is just that for every gram of food, how much, for every calorie, how much body mass that you gain. So as you can see, the high-fat diet, for every gram, it gains so much. Whereas for the same amount of food that they eat, if they have Lingzhi supplement in it, their weight increase was much lesser. All right. Okay, next one. So they have to go and look further. What is the reason? This is, of course, just the weight increase. Just now we see. So therefore they compare they look at the adipose tissue, the fat tissue in they weigh the liver and the adipose tissue, the white fat tissue. Okay, and these are usually the parameters. So when you gain weight, you will have fatty liver, right? Because the fat will deposit on the liver. So that's why they weigh the liver. And then they cut out the fats. Where they cut out the fats? Around the groin area. Just like you see the chicken. If your chicken is very fat, where are the fats? The fat is all around the backside area, right? That is the case. This is where they cut out the fat and they analyze it, and they find that actually Lingzhi reduce this weight gain on a dose-dependent basis. And then you can see that the chart on the left, they show the weight gain, right, of the liver and the adipose tissue. White adipose tissue is the fat cells, the fats that we normally see. Then on the right is the histological analysis, which I think maybe if you just look at it here, the A is the liver, the B is the adipose tissue. You can see the normal diet, the fat cells, the normal diet, the fat cells, the one below, the fat cells is very tight because it's not expanded, no enlargement. Whereas the high-fat diet, the fat cell all expanded. That's why you see very broad and wide, right? So as it goes along with Lingzhi on a dose-dependent basis, the fat cells getting smaller and smaller, right? So that explains that the enlargement of the fat cell will suppressed by Lingzhi, Ganoderma extract powder, right? I understand this histological analysis, simple explanation in this way, right? Next one. All right, so then of course they do the serum analysis, just like you measure the blood, and then find out that the serum, the blood of all those parameters that we use to measure obesity of the high-fat diet has increased because of the high-fat diet, right? You see you see the table below, the first line, the normal diet, all right? When it comes to the high-fat diet, the weight all increase, right? The weight all increase. The triglyceride, the total cholesterol, the high density low density lipoprotein, fatty acid, yeah, all increase. But when they have high fat diet, at the same time have Lingzhi supplement in it, this weight increase will much lesser. All right, will significantly reduce. You can see from the one on the right, the chart show you, right? So this reduction at the same time causes the insulin to be reduced. If you look at the chart on the right, all right, I say here my explanation. High fat diet increase glucose and insulin levels compared to normal diet. Okay, normal diet, which is the blue line. Okay, the red line is the high fat diet. So when you take a high fat diet, your glucose will go up, your insulin will go up. Why? Your insulin go up to your pancreas will generate more insulin to try to absorb more glucose from the system. Correct? Because when we eat, the body will detect that there's a lot of glucose in the body. They'll try to produce more insulin to try to absorb it. All right? But yet you can see here the insulin level of the Lingzhi group on a dose-dependent basis keep on declining. Why? Because probably they don't need to produce so many insulin anymore. Right? The body detects that there's no need to have so much more insulin to absorb the glucose, right? Because the glucose level is falling. So of course the insulin level they secrete by our pancreas is getting lesser. So in a sense, Lingzhi can help to better utilize the glucose. Better utilize the glucose than to let the glucose keep on circulating in our blood. If keep on circulating in our blood, what does it mean? That means we will have a high blood sugar level, right? High blood sugar level, what will happen to us? You will have subsequently lead to all the diabetes problem, right? Kidney problem, heart problem. So, but this test here show you that the glucose utilization level has gone up, right? So of course the amount of glucose in the blood is lesser. Okay, so they want to understand. Next slide. They want to understand what is the mechanism of action in this case. All right. So they want to know why, without any change in the amount of high fat food intake, Lingzhi was able to reduce fat accumulation and also, like I said just now, the complication resulting from obesity, like reducing the insulin and increasing utilization of the glucose. So as a result, the possible complication from obesity is much lesser. So, okay, then they analyze the fat, the white adipose tissue, and the liver tissue of the mice. And they found that the enzyme that secrete in this tissue of the Lingzhi group will greatly increase as compared to the high-fat group without any Lingzhi. Right? That enzyme that's being secreted in the Lingzhi group is AMPK. All those AMPK enzymes, all the whole group of AMPK enzymes. So, as you can see, like I mentioned just now, AMPK activation. So Lingzhi helps to activate this AMPK. So AMPK activation reduces the enzyme responsible for lipogenesis. Introduction just now I mentioned, right? AMPK can help you to not to form fat. The excess, the excess glucose that we eat will be stored. So now in this case, instead of storing it, it will be utilized, and thus inhibiting all those fat formation, and as a result, you are not fat. So then of course, when you are no longer fat, the enzyme that is secreted by the adipose tissue called adiponectin, which is responsible for reducing this insulin sensitivity, will decline, and resulting in the insulin getting more sensitive. That's why just now in the previous chart, you see that the insulin secreted is lesser because the body is more sensitive to the insulin, so therefore they don't need to secrete so much, right? They can take up all the glucose, and thus that's why increase the glucose utilization. Okay, right, so we come to the conclusion. This one, conclusion. Of course, the study show that Lingzhi supplementation, okay, as a supplement, can help us to prevent obesity and insulin resistance. How we do it? We do it by enhancing our lipid metabolism. Because how you go about enhancing the lipid metabolism? It activates through this AMPK signaling pathway. Right? Lingzhi helps to increase this utilization of glucose. So this excess glucose that we consume because of high-fat diet will not be stored. It will be utilized through our energy. That's why when you take Lingzhi, you become more alert, more alive, right? Or you will be more alert, and then you will not be stored. And when this excess glucose is not stored, it will not result in fat. It will not result in obesity. And of course, when you are not fat, the subsequent problem will not be created. Right? And of course, Lingzhi can activate this AMPK signaling pathway. Has a similar action like the drug that is commonly used, that is commonly given to you by the doctor to lower blood glucose, metformin. This metformin that is used to lower blood sugar. For people with high blood sugar, this metformin is given to lower the blood sugar. They partly work on the same way by activating the AMPK pathway enzyme in the liver, so that it will so-called generate. Activate the enzyme to absorb away the glucose. That is the case. That's why you take metformin straight away, it absorb away the glucose. So some people who take metformin, if they did not take accordingly, they become their blood sugar level become too low. then they become faint, then they fainted. Right? That's the reason. Metformin helps to absorb all the glucose, but glucose at the same time cannot be too low. Oh? So therefore, if you want to have a sumptuous meal, make sure you continue to take a Lingzhi supplement. But of course, obesity still depending on food intake. So your food intake has to be controlled to some extent, but no need to be like those anorexic people. I don't eat for the next 2 days, or I eat very little for the next few days to control the diet. You eat your normal food, you take your normal Lingzhi regularly, you will stay the same weight throughout. You know, as an example, I always find that, you know, like Chinese New Year, we have meals like every day. Imagine every relative you go to, meal, 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day, such that by the end of the holiday, third day, fourth day, you find that you gain 3-4 kilos. But after that, you go back to your normal diet, your weight drop back. Why? Because you take Lingzhi regularly, right? So the fats don't divide. The fats don't form up. So as a result, you don't get your weight can come back quickly. Okay, I mean, if you listen to the research that I spoke about 2-3 months ago, it's something related to it. All right, thank you. That's my sharing for the day. I hope it can be of much help. Thank you. Bye bye.